The FIM International 6 Days of Enduro returns. Following a year's delay as a result of the global pandemic, the 95th edition finally comes to the Piemonte and Lombardia regions in the northwest of Italy as previously planned. A stunning backdrop in the Apennine Mountains for the 2021 staging of the oldest off-road event on the calendar. Along the week's route, totalling almost 1,000 kilometres, over 600 competitors face 30 special tests to determine their pecking order ahead of the celebratory final cross test on day 6. The 2021 event is the 11th staged in Italy, one of the genuine heartlands of the sport. And for this season, the historic city of Pavia threw open its doors for the customary opening ceremony. The 14th century Castello Visconteo, the meeting point for teams from 25 different nations, hoping to claim the FIM gold medals available in 3 different World Trophy categories.
Have a good race. Thank you.
Reigning champions Team USA start as the favourites in the Premier class. 5 years on from their first ever victory, they reunite 2 members of that title-winning side.
You know, I wouldn't say it's any added pressure. It's all where we want to be. So I'm glad that we have that pressure on us and the target on our backs. ISDE is honestly, it's such a cool race for us as Americans. You know, we've kind of been chasing that overall win for so long. Like you said, we were able to get it in 2016, back it up in 2019. And I feel like we finally have the team where we need it to be. We have a solid team this year, and I think we have a good shot at getting another overall and bringing that trophy back home again.
Best place to unseat the USA at the top of the sports pecking order are hosts Italy, whose latest generation includes 2 of the top 5 in the current individual World Championship standings. This year we have a great squad with Matteo, Andrea, Davide and myself. I think we have every chance of winning with the event taking place at home here in Italy. We have every motivation to do well. Spain are back to full strength with 3 of their 2019 squad members, including Marc Sanz, who graduates from the Junior Trophy, plus the returning Jaume Betriu. The team is led by Josep Garcia, currently 2nd in Enduro GP. The 6 days has always been a special event for me. Coming to represent your country is great. And personally, I've always gone well here. I do enjoy it, and I've had some great results individually. I'll do everything I can to help the team as always, and who knows, perhaps we can fight for that victory, or if not, then a place on the podium. France have failed to make the podium in the last 2 editions of the 6 days, ending a period of dominance that saw them claim 7 World Trophy titles in 10 seasons. They continue a rebuilding phase as outsiders in 2021. I still think France has a chance. We do have plenty of experience now. It's a solid team, and we have excellent staff behind us. We know very well that we aren't the favourites, but we've all ridden in this competition. We know how it works, and there isn't a big difference between the fastest and slowest among us. So we'll give it everything and see what we can do. And watch out for the improving Sweden team, boasting 2 of their 3 2016 Junior Trophy winners, now competing at senior level. We had a really nice 6 days experience in 2016, and now I'm very happy to be here in Italy in the World Trophy. We're all really looking forward to it. The Junior Trophy for riders aged under 23 is always more difficult to predict, but with the current top 2 in the World Championship plus experience from the 2019 edition, Italy's youth side looks to have peaked at just the right time. It's not surprising that we're the favourites. We've got a great team. Lorenzo and I are 1st and 2nd in the world. And riding at home will also be great. The specials are brilliant and we'll try to enjoy ourselves. In the absence of Australia due to travel complications, the USA are the highest ranked side from 2019 present this season. But it's all changed for the Stars and Stripes with a new look trio.
I'm not taking it as a building year. I want to get the win, and I think my team is really good and capable of getting the win. Walking these tests, I think it's super West Coast style what I race, and I'm ready to go get after it and do my best to get USA on top.
And the USA are also favourites in the Women's Trophy, with one of the standout stars from 2019 in Brandy Richards, joined by newcomer Brittany Gallegos and the returning Rachel Guttish.
So to be back here again is such an honor. It was really hard having to sit at home and watch everyone else out having all the fun, so I cannot wait to go and tear it up this week. I think we are the favorites to win. Brandy very nearly got the overall last year. I fully expect her to win it this year, and Brittany and myself are no slouches. I don't think it creates any additional pressure. We all put so much pressure on ourselves to be here and perform that I don't think any outside influence can make you want it more than you want it.
Competition is expected to come from Great Britain, whose men's teams are missing in Italy, and from Spain, who track the in-form Mireia Badia. Riders and support staff regroup in the week's makeshift paddock at the Rivanazzano Terme Airport, the location for each day's departures and arrivals, and a competitive atmosphere ahead of the opener in Italy. With temperatures already up at 21 degrees by the time the riders departed at first light, with over 7 hours of riding ahead of them on day one, dry and dusty conditions were expected, meaning riders that started strongly would gain an advantageous starting position for the following days. For the first half of the week, the course was based in the Stafora Valley, the Lombardia leg of the 2021 6 days, with the same route on days 1 and 2. 20 teams took part in the World Trophy in Lombardia, with 5 clear favourites immediately breaking clear. But there was also an entertaining week-long scrap for 6th, and it was Canada who occupied the position at the end of day 1. Tyler Medaglia moving up from the club classes this season to lead their timesheets. A full 4 minutes separated Canada's top 3 from the Swedish team, Mikael Persson finishing 5th individually for them. Sweden won the World Trophy on 4 occasions in the 1980s and early 90s, but only now are they seeing their latest generation, all in their mid to late 20s, come to the fore. France enjoyed a strong opening to the week, even though 4th position on day 1 was as high as they would manage throughout. Theo Espinas led the timesheets along with Hugo Blanjou, both promoted from the 2018 junior team that finished 3rd in Viña del Mar. A stuttering start to the week for the USA, meanwhile, really set the tone for their title defence. 2016 scratch winner Taylor Roberts suffered a fall in the very first test, and although he improved to finish fastest American, the team ended day 1 down in 3rd. Spain were only 15th in 2017, with 3 of the same riders that they track in 2021. But Ivan Cervantes has overseen a change in their fortunes as team manager since his racing retirement, aided on track by his protégé, Josep Garcia. After 5th and 4th place finishes in the last 2 editions of the 6 days, Spain were back in the podium places in the Stafora Valley. But with their 3 counting riders all inside the top 10 on day 1, Italy took command on home ground. Fastest in 2 of the first 6 specials, Andrea Verona led their timesheets, receiving important backup in particular from Matteo Cavaglio. Just a quarter of a second separated Spain from the USA at the end of the opening day, but Italy took a commanding 52-second lead. In the junior trophy, the 3 favourites for the 2021 title opened a significant margin to the rest of the pack from the word go. Spain, led in the timesheets by Enric Francisco, were already over 3 minutes behind the podium places after day 1 and occupied 5th position for the first half of the week in Lombardia. Sweden's 2016 junior champions have long since graduated to senior competition, and a retirement ended their latest generation's chances in 2019. But this was a more successful campaign for the men in yellow and blue. A quiet start to the week, but their 3 evenly matched riders improved on day 2. Dante Oliveira and Austin Walton were club riders at the 94th edition of the 6 days in 2019, but they got their chance to shine in Italy immediately, putting the USA third. Antoine Cric impressed on his first 6 days appearance, third fastest junior early in the week. In fact, both he and teammate Léo Le Carré started day one particularly strong, and although they faded from there, France did enough to hold the USA just under 2 seconds behind. But it was Italy who took a commanding early lead of over a minute. Their top two juniors both occupying places among the top 10 in scratch, let alone in the junior standings. That stunning series of individual performances included the Test 1 win for Matteo Pavoni, who finished day one fastest in E3. Pavoni alone was worth almost a minute for Italy, 65 seconds up on the closely matched French and US junior teams. Two separate duels emerged over the course of the week in the Women's Trophy. Spain and Great Britain battling for second, while Portugal fended off France for fourth. Fifth fastest women's rider, Joana Gonçalves, did the bulk of the heavy lifting for the Portuguese. Great Britain finished third with an identical trio in 2019, and that's where they sat at the end of day one in Italy as well. A week-long tussle between Jane Daniels and Mireia Badia in scratch proved decisive in separating the Brits from Spain. Badia received strong backup from teammate Sandra Gomez on day one as the Spanish claimed a slender 12-second advantage in second, the closest fight in the Women's Trophy.
Quanto riguarda i club mentre va a terminare di questo primo passaggio
But Brandy Richards, Women's Trophy winner and second individually in 2019, came back even stronger in 2021. Unbeaten throughout the week, she was 2 minutes faster than the top-performing Spaniard on day one alone, as the USA built an eye-watering 3-minute lead at the start of the week. With over 7 minutes separating the top 5 teams on the opening day, the battle for second became the focus for the remainder of the Women's World Trophy. Another day in the Stafora Valley and a well-worn near 200-kilometre route that would prove rough and challenging at the second time of asking, with dust becoming a protagonist. In a break from tradition, for 2021, 6 specials in the Lombardia region were split over the first 3 days of competition. The fourth test in the municipality of Bagnaria was introduced for the first time on day 2. Portugal could only manage 9th at their home edition of the 6 days in 2019, but they came back stronger for 2021. Despite losing Gonçalo Reis to a mechanical failure as early as day 1, Portugal bouncing back well with what would be their best performance of the week, moved ahead of Canada into 6th. There was no change to the overall order, meanwhile, among the top 5, although after a challenging opening outing, Sweden beat France on day 2, and in the process closed the gap to 3rd overall. 2016 Junior Trophy winner Mikael Persson was their key man, eventually finishing the week 3rd in scratch. Favourites before the action got underway, the USA quickly lost their grip on the World Trophy as they saw Italy escape at the top of the standings. A 50-second gap on day 1 was hardly disastrous, but that had trebled 24 hours later, with Ryan Sipe struggling, Jonathan Giroir instead putting in his first counting rides. Spain capitalised to build a buffer of over a minute to the Americans behind. Another stunning effort from Josep Garcia, 28 seconds faster than his nearest rival in scratch, kept his team in contention with Italy on the day. But even so, the margin opened between the teams by another half a minute. Although they couldn't live with Garcia, Italy's entire quartet finished ahead of Spain's second-place rider on the day. The gap at the top totalling 1 minute 22 at a third distance. My day has gone quite well. I had a great start in the first special. I suffered a little bit later on, but I managed to finish 5th overall, so I'm very happy with that. As a team, we're still going very well. Andrea Verona is helping us out a lot because he's really strong. So far, so good, and we hope to carry on like that. Although France could only finish day 2 5th, they lost just 16 seconds to Sweden and comfortably maintained 4th overall. Gaps between the lead quartet, meanwhile, all opened after 12 completed specials. The USA's losses to Italy totaled 2.5 minutes, the leaders with 82 seconds in hand over Spain. In the junior trophy, Portugal had run a solid if unspectacular 8th after the opening 6 specials of the week, but disastrous 2nd and 3rd days dropped them out of the top 10 altogether. Rodrigo Luz lost almost 8 minutes on day 2, then Renato Silva lost over 15 on day 3, although both pressed on. Unlike in the World Trophy, day 2 did see a change in the pecking order for the juniors. France dropped to 3rd overall after losing almost 58 seconds to the USA, despite the best efforts of Antoine Cric and Léo Le Carré, who was fastest French junior at the second time of asking. Personally, I crushed in the first special and the penultimate one, but I'm okay. I am suffering with my arm because yesterday I cut it open and I've had some stitches. But the team is pretty solid, so we have to carry on like this, and I think we'll be rewarded for it. An improved performance from Team USA saw them move into 2nd position. Dante Oliveira again topping their timesheets as 3rd fastest junior despite a difficult 5th test. And Cody Barnes making a useful step forward to back up his teammate. But with the top 2 juniors in the world delivering on home soil, Italy took the 2nd day by 42 seconds, their advantage already closing in on 2 minutes. Lorenzo Maccarito made progress to match teammate Matteo Pavoni, making up for a difficult day for Manolo Morettini. Manolo is struggling a bit with fatigue because he has a bit of a knee injury, but Matteo and I are doing our best to make up for it. We're still first and have a useful advantage. All-to-count rules in the junior trophy mean any mistakes are always severely punished, as Portugal found out on day 2. The main story in the top 5 positions, the USA's move to 2nd ahead of France. Italy, with the top 2 juniors individually, continued to stretch out a comfortable lead. France are one of only 3 nations to have won the Women's Trophy since its inaugural 2008 season, but they're undergoing something of a rebuilding phase with an all-new lineup in 2021, 3 rookies taking the start for them in Lombardia. An improved day 2 saw them just 4 seconds back from Portugal in 5th. The only change of position in the Women's Trophy, meanwhile, saw Spain drop behind Great Britain, conceding 40 seconds as Mireia Badia struggled for backup. Sandra Gomez, making her 3rd 6 days appearance on the Spanish team, finished day 2 behind all 3 British women. Great Britain's strength in depth proved crucial in snatching 2nd place, their 2nd fastest rider making the difference, some 42 seconds up on Gomez. But there was no catching Brandy Richards, almost 2 minutes faster than her nearest rival on day 2. A somewhat more subdued day for Rachel Guttish, but still plenty enough for the USA to remarkably almost double their lead, approaching 6 minutes with 4 days still to go. A valuable 2nd place for Great Britain moved them above Spain overall in the podium places. Further back, France were a match for Portugal on day 2, but remained the best part of 2 minutes behind them in the standings. Although the eyes of the world are on the trophy categories, the largest number of riders at the FIM International 6 Days of Enduro belong to the club class. A broad spectrum of competitors, from youths representing major enduro nations and hoping to one day graduate to the trophy teams, to enthusiastic amateurs from a whole range of different nations. Over 400 riders have started this edition in Club. Club is the very essence of the 6 days. They're amateur riders who ride here for pure passion. It's a class where they all ride exactly the same course, exactly the same specials as the World, Junior and Women's Trophy classes. It's often an introductory category, a first opportunity for many young riders to compete internationally and in this unique team environment. But it's also a category where you'll find many older riders. And for some, the only objective is to get the bike to the end of the competition. The spirit is to compete, not necessarily to win.
I mean, it's the opportunity to represent your country racing motorcycles. That's what inspires them to come. Like, everybody wants to travel and not just race their local series or national series. It gives them an opportunity to represent their country. I mean, this is very important for rider development. The riders, even though if we bring fast riders, still the ISDE event is different than racing in the United States in our series. So they have to, we almost want someone to have a trial year before they're on a junior trophy team or world trophy team to learn how in-pound works and the time schedules work, to prepare for riders coming up to go to the junior trophy team or world trophy team.
For me, it's truly great to be able to come to this competition because I get to ride the same track as my idols, the same course as my heroes. So for me, it's a really unique opportunity.
For me, the
6 days is the biggest race of the year. When I first started, I was in the junior and world trophies, so the target was to be the best. Now, this is my 26th edition, and I race with my son in Club. It's more about fun, not worrying about winning, but just doing our best.
Yeah, look, racing against some of the top guys or with the top guys is quite different. We're used to the pressure in South Africa. There's some good guys, but the whole setup here is very different. The race format is very different, so we have to get used to that. My rewards, make it to the end, make it 6 days, sit down, get the medal, and yeah, got the t-shirt. So just looking for a finish, very excited.
We won't suffer. For me, it's a real gift just to be here with everything that's going on at the moment. That is my reward. The 2021 FIM International 6 Days of Enduro reached its halfway mark with the final day of action in Lombardia before heading to the other side of the week's map for days 4 and 5 in the Piemonte region. In the meanwhile, another new test was added at Stellara, but otherwise it was a familiar route for the third and final trek through the Stafora Valley. Early promise for Canada with 6th place on day 1 evaporated halfway through the week. They could only manage 13th on day 3. Philippe Chenet battling through injury and Cade Tinkler-Walker also looking a little under the weather on the 2nd and 3rd days in the dusty Stafora Valley. The Czech Republic gained over 3 minutes on Canada to pick up a place at their expense, moving up to 7th overall. Jaromir Romanchik starring for them in the tougher day 2 and 3 conditions. The USA went over a year without needing to defend their 6 days title, but they would finally have to relinquish the trophy in Italy. Their underwhelming 4th place on day 3 was the furthest they fell down the pecking order, though, on any day, and they remained 3rd overall. 5th, 4th, and then 3rd, day 3 in Lombardia was all about Sweden, who put in their best performance of the week. beating the USA and right on the pace with Spain, the Swedes remained in with an outside shot at the podium after climbing ahead of France for 4th overall. I think I just needed to wake up a bit after the first 2 days. I tried to push more and really give it my all, and that was the key. Unfortunately, I wasn't riding as well as I could have in the Enduro tests, but the others have been quite good, so I'm happy with my improvements today. Andrea Verona put in another 2 special wins on day 3 as Italy extended their lead past the mammoth 3-minute mark. Davide Guarneri enjoyed his best day of the event with 5th fastest, all 3 of Italy's counting riders inside the lead quintet as their march towards victory continued. France finished days 2, 3 and 4 in only 5th position, while Sweden progressed at their expense. Despite beating the USA on day 3 though, the Swedes could only gain 15 seconds on the USA and remained over a minute and a half behind. In the junior trophy, just as among the seniors, Sweden continued to ride an upward curve. Just 7 seconds from France on day 2, the Swedes beat them for 3rd on day 3 by 40 seconds. Max Arlin, their fastest throughout the week, and a 2nd place junior in the scratch standings. The gap to 3rd overall reduced to just over a minute. 4th fastest junior on day 3 was Cody Barnes, and backup from Dante Oliveira ensured the USA narrowly beat Sweden for another 2nd place. The gap to Italy ostensibly insurmountable, but with France struggling in 4th, the Americans tightened their grip on the silver medal place for 2021.
It was really good today. Ran some really fast times in some of the tests and didn't have any crashes in the tests, just the transfers. So, but overall, it was a really good day. I think the team did really solid. Me and my 2 teammates, Dante and Austin, I think we all rode really solid tests, and I think we're pretty secure in 2nd place, but hopefully just keep chipping away at the lead group, hopefully.
An improved performance from Manolo Morettini, coupled with his teammates occupying 2 of the top 3 junior spots in scratch, meant Italy enjoyed their biggest winning margin of the week. Now over 3 minutes clear of the USA behind, it does look increasingly as though only a retirement could end their pursuit of gold. It's been a great day for me personally, right from the first special where I was fastest. I've spent most of the day 2nd or 3rd individually. I'm happy with my speed and the team, running in the lead, so we'll see what we can do tomorrow.
Mi sembra che si è riusciti a guadagnare ancora qualche secondo. Domani si cambia le speciali e speriamo che ci piacciono e continuiamo così, che stiamo andando secondo me veramente molto bene e continuiamo così.
The French juniors suffered their worst result of the week with 4th, and Sweden were the team to capitalise, the only real surprise in the lead positions. Italy added over a minute to their lead, and the USA gained another 40 seconds on France. In the women's trophy, Great Britain moved 1.5 minutes clear of Spain after gaining another 26 seconds on day 3. Jane Daniels survived 2 small crashes in the specials to take out another 10 seconds on Mireia Badia, while Rosie Rowett put in her first counting ride of the week. But the women's trophy was dominated by Brandy Richards, 5.5 minutes clear of anyone else in scratch at the halfway mark. And with Rachel Guttish 4th, the USA were certainly on to a winner. 8 minutes 46 was their leading margin at this stage over Great Britain. Britain versus Spain was as engaging as Jane Daniels versus Mireia Badia in scratch, but an iconic performance from Brandy Richards ahead. An impressively low rate of attrition across all 3 classes at the halfway mark in 2021. Heading into the second half of the week, the 2021 FIM International 6 Days of Enduro moved into the Curone Valley in the Piemonte region. 3 totally new tests were set for the next 2 days, although after the first lap, for safety reasons due to dust, the day's final planned Enduro test at Monreale was abandoned. Nevertheless, another 198-kilometre route and 5 tests to separate the riders. After a 4th-place finish on day 3, Team USA were back on form in the new specials. Less than 13 seconds from Spain and 3rd fastest on the day, the American men consolidated 3rd overall. A better showing from Ryan Sykes after struggling on days 2 and 3, securing his 2nd counting ride of the week. Day 4 was the first to elude Josep Garcia. A fall in the 3rd test, costing him 24 seconds to Andrea Verona. Impressively, though, he did finish fastest in the other 4 to maintain the vast bulk of his scratch lead. But it's further down the order where Spain continued to lose ground, a lack of strength in depth, eliminating their chances of gold. With another 1 minute 40 gained and only 2 days remaining, Italy proved themselves the more solid team. Andrea Verona led from the front throughout the week, fastest in scratch on day 4, Cavaglio and Guarneri providing his most consistent backup as the leading margin opened to over 5 minutes. It's the 4th day today and we're still having a good race, making up significant time on our rivals. We can't afford to drop our guard, we have to remain at full concentration. There's still 1 full day of Enduro as well as the cross test. We don't think we've already done it, we're totally focused on continuing this way. France were beaten for a 3rd consecutive day by Sweden, meaning their day 1 advantage of over a minute was reversed into a 45-second deficit. The Swedes, menacing on the tail of the USA at the halfway mark, lost another 45 seconds to the Americans to sit a seemingly unassailable 2.5 minutes back and ostensibly settling the podium places. Underlining the constant risk of change to the pecking order that all-to-count regulations mean in the Junior Trophy, Spain, 5th at the week's halfway mark, were put out of podium contention following the retirement of Enric Francisco, their fastest rider from days 1 and 3. It's a shame. We've been doing some really good work with the team. Just on the exit of the last special on day 2, through a lot of dust, the bike started to make a strange noise. The same all of yesterday, and then it started to fail a bit and still sounded bad. Today we tried to change the clutch and the engine oil at every control, but it wasn't enough, and the bike stopped in the middle of a straight. I'm out, and it's a shame because there's no drop time in juniors, so we're out of the running. But we'll be back next year to try and make it onto the junior podium. The USA were also ruled out of podium contention, finishing 5th on day 4 after problems for Austin Walton. Already riding through the pain barrier after a crash at the final special 2 days before, he suffered another heavy fall, and to add insult to injury was late to his next pit and suffered a penalty. The USA, as a result, dropped from 2nd to 4th overall, but crucially almost 7 minutes behind the top 3. After a difficult start to the week, the Czech Republic made gradual progress, 7th fastest on day 3 and 6th on day 4. They remained half an hour, though, behind the USA and more than 6 minutes back from the top 5 overall. Portugal, meanwhile, had been 8th and ahead of the Czechs on day 1 before they hit problems on days 2 and 3. But they finally proved what they were capable of by finishing 5th on day 5, their best performance of the week, albeit with those earlier difficulties, leaving them an hour back from the podium overall. Chile also enjoyed their best day of the week with 4th. Eloy de Guevara was their fastest rider for the majority of the 6 days, but he and his teammates proved more closely matched and consistent than the teams behind. After being beaten by Sweden on day 3, France bounced back with 2nd place for the first time since day 1. What was a fight for 3rd with the Swedes became a duel for 2nd overall after the USA's difficulties, and with an advantage of more than 2 minutes after the French trio took almost a minute out of Swedes on day 4, those podium places looked settled. With their closest rivals, the USA, dropping back, Italy saw their advantage at the top of the standings more than double in 24 hours. Their trio combined were more than a minute faster than France on day 4, putting them in prime position to take the 2021 junior title. Chile and the Czech Republic both beat the USA, whose third man finished over 10 minutes slower than their fastest. With that lost time, the Americans slipped from second to fourth, the most dramatic event of day 4, because from 7 minutes down, there was no way back into the podium places. Sweden were the biggest beneficiaries as they took third. Justine Martel continued to lead the timesheets for France in the women's trophy, and they enjoyed their best result of the week on day 4, with 4th, beating Portugal for the first time and keeping faint hopes alive of claiming 4th overall as well. Jane Daniels was again second fastest female, as Great Britain gained another minute on Spain to consolidate second. The key rider for them midway through the week was Rosie Rowett, who made a significant step forward after struggling by contrast on the opening 2 days. But with another 2.5 minutes added to their lead on day 4, the USA women sat a peerless 11.5 minutes clear. France's improved effort was the main story of day 4, and their battle with Portugal became the closest inside the lead quintet since Great Britain extended their lead over Spain. The final full day of competition presented the last real opportunity for teams to make up major margins in the standings, with only limited opportunities to make progress in a single test on day 6. Second day in the Stafora Valley for the remaining riders. The Enduro test at Monleale back on the agenda, but the day's opening cross test in Stellara abandoned. Another 5-test day in the region of Lombardia. France's fading hopes of a medal in the 2021 World Trophy were ended on day 5 as their team first lost Theo Espinas in the second test following a heavy fall. Then Hugo Blanjou suffered a leg injury following a crash in the 5th special. France's retirement moved Canada back up to 7th, a strong recovery from their midweek wobble, for which they received the Watling Trophy, presented by FIM Race Direction annually for the most outstanding team performance of the week. The Czech Republic, meanwhile, also starred at the end of the week, putting in their best performance on day 5 with 5th. Still 1.5 minutes from Portugal, they were unable to move up from 6th overall, but nonetheless a creditable display in particular from Jaromir Romanchik and Christoph Kubel. And there were no surprises among the lead quartet on the penultimate day, Spain settling for second place with their lead to the USA passing 3 minutes. A brief scare for Josep Garcia at the Cadalalio cross test, but other than that he remained faultless. As for Italy, a slightly more cautious approach from their middle-order men to bring the World Trophy to within touching distance. Just 21 seconds was their smallest winning margin of the week, but nonetheless more than sufficient to maintain an unassailable 5-minute lead. The Czech Republic beat Portugal on day 5 by just 12 seconds, but remained too far adrift to take the place overall. In fact, margins between all of the teams sizable enough to expect no further change in the cross test. With France dropping out, each of the teams behind them gained a single place in the standings. Having sat second after day 2 in Italy, things went from bad to worse for the USA. All-to-count regulations in the Junior Trophy costing them dearly after Austin Walton hit problems on day 4. The next morning opened with news of his retirement with a fractured shoulder blade.
Yeah, so it was very unfortunate yesterday. We suffered an injury with Austin, actually at the Enduro Special Test 3. He kind of hit a tree and turned out he had a broken scapula at the end of the day. So he really, kind of pushed through and finished the day. We didn't really know the extent of the injury, so we were just taping his shoulder and telling him to push through the day and impound the bike at the end of the day. And then got X-rays last night, and sure enough, it's a broken scapula, and that was the end of his 6 days.
Retirements on successive days for Spain, and then the USA moved Chile up to 4th overall, although day 5 was a tougher one for them, with Eloy de Guevado struggling. Jeremiah Schiele took up the slack. Just 9th on the opening 2 days, the Czech Republic clearly preferred the new tests in the Curone Valley as they finished 6th and then 4th on the final 2 full days of competition. Losses at the start of the week had left them too far back to make further progress, but they finished the week a creditable 5th overall. On the second day, Matej Skuta crashed really badly, so it was a difficult situation for the team. But we've handled it, we're all very well prepared, and I'm happy with my riding so far. The podium positions, though, remained unchanged. France's juniors riding the closing specials with an air of caution after seeing 2 retirements for the senior team. But they'd done comfortably enough to see off Sweden for silver, almost 2.5 minutes between the 2 teams. And there was no catching Italy. 5-day wins out of 5. Another 44 seconds gained over France on the last full day. Matteo Pavoni topped their timesheets for the 4th time. 7 minutes, the team's overall lead, and the junior trophy all but settled. The Czech Republic finished their week on a high by beating Chile on day 5, but an astonishing 40 minutes separated the medal-winning teams from the pack behind, and only a shock retirement could have changed the pecking order in the final cross test. In the women's trophy, France were able to beat Portugal for a 2nd consecutive day. The gap to 4th overall was narrowed to just over a minute. But Elodie Chaplot was unable to get her bike started on day 6, Marie Froment retiring on the way to the final test, and France dropped out of the running. The gap between 2nd and 3rd also closed on day 5, Spain putting in something of a sprint finish and making up 44 seconds on Great Britain. The British trio remained over a minute clear, too much to do in the final test. Another impeccable day for Brandy Richards as the USA's lead approached 14 minutes. Rachel Guttish also playing her part, meaning only an unlikely double retirement could deny them the 2021 Women's Trophy. Before their disastrous denouement, France enjoyed a final flourish with 4th on day 5. But the gaps between each of the 8 competing women's teams remained at over a minute. And the change for 5th would be the only movement the next day at the final cross test. With 28 tests already completed and the rankings established, all that remained was the final motocross test on the 6th and final day in Italy. Bringing the bike home safely to the finish is always the primary goal, but of course individual pride in front of the spectators is also on the line. For 2021, riders headed to the permanent Crossodromo Valle Scrivia, just outside the town of Cassano Spinola. All eyes were on the USA in the women's trophy. Brandy Richards unbeaten on the first 5 days. Of course, just 2 of the American women really needed to make it home to the finish, with a 14-minute lead in hand and the cross test itself shorter than that. But Richards didn't disappoint, jetting from the start and never looking back, taking the 29th and final test by a margin of almost 20 seconds. Surviving the first turn melee behind her, Rachel Guttish enjoyed an entertaining scrap with Mireia Badia for 2nd, the Spaniard eventually finding her way through, but that certainly wouldn't take any of the shine from the USA's dominant week. 15-minute winning margin overall for the USA's 3rd Women's World Trophy, And an emotional moment for Brandy Richards in particular after completing her clean sweep. An excellent second from Mireia Badia helped Spain to finish the final day runners-up to the USA, but they could only make back 20 seconds on Great Britain, leaving them still 53 seconds adrift overall. With their 2 overnight retirements, France drop out and Sweden take 5th in 2021.
Oh, we are just absolutely stoked. It's pretty unreal to come here and win again, defending our title and just have such an amazing week. And we all did such a great job and we couldn't be more proud.
The USA and Brandy Richards claim back-to-back Women's World Trophy titles, but it's a special moment in particular for Rachel Guttish, gold at her 6th attempt and in her first appearance since 2016. As always, the men were broken down into bike classes for the final cross test. The Italian World Trophy team was, of course, the focus for the home fans, with Andrea Verona also looking to round out an excellent week, fastest in E1. In the race itself, it was Luis Oliveira who took the whole shot, but he gradually slipped back to 5th, with Mikael Persson taking control at the head of the field. Behind the Swede, Jonathan Giroir of the USA also made strong progress, and once released from the pack, began his hunt for the race lead. But with only 7 laps available, he ran out of time, Persson holding on. Andrea Verona finished the race 4th, but that was plenty enough for him to win E1 overall by a margin of over a minute to Persson. The pair also finishing 2nd and 3rd in the scratch classification. Josep Garcia confirmed top spot for the week individually by successfully completing the final test in E2, but Thomas Oldrati was the man to watch for Italy. With 2 riders already home, Oldrati reaching the finish would be enough for them to secure the World Trophy for 2021. It was Tyler Medaglia of Canada and Jaromir Romanchik of the Czech Republic who jostled for top spot into the first turn, the latter coming out in front, but that lead proved short-lived. Dante Oliveira with a brilliant move around the outside of both in 2 turns on his way to the race win. Josep Garcia had made an underwhelming start and left himself with too much work to do for victory, but closed down Oliveira nonetheless and finished only 2.5 seconds from him at the flag before celebrating his 2021 6 days scratch win. Thomas Oldrati made it home safely in 7th to confirm Italy as World Trophy winners. And the hosts could now confirm victory in the Junior Trophy by bringing home Matteo Pavoni safely, his fellow countryman Matteo Cavaglio finishing the week top in E3. When the gate dropped, it was Jared Stock of Canada first away, pursued swiftly and picked off by Jaume Batrio for the lead. The Spaniard wasn't headed from there, although he did have to fend off the close attentions of Ryan Sykes throughout. Meanwhile, Matteo Cavaglio picked off Mark Sands for 3rd, and his fellow countryman Matteo Pavoni was 7th, putting the finishing touches to Italy's wins in both the World and Junior trophies. Italy last claimed the World Trophy in 2007. 2021 opens a new golden era for them. Matteo Cavaglio was a junior champion in 2018. Andrea Verona likewise. But the wait for Thomas Oldrati to claim the World Trophy has been even longer. He took the junior title in Greece 2008. Sweden finished the final test second fastest, but struggles on days 1 and 4 with the new specials proved too costly for them in their battle with France for second. Italy's juniors win the final day to complete a clean sweep.
Siamo molto contenti. È stata una gara
We're really happy. It's been a tough race, but we've done it. We've won. A big thanks to everyone, to the spectators. We're world champions. Thank you.
Pubblico e campioni del mondo. Grazie.
As Italy claim a second junior trophy in the last 3 editions of the 6 days, and with a totally different trio claiming honours for them in 2021, the future of Enduro is clearly bright for the Azzurri. And it's a double for Italy, who become the 4th different team to take the World Trophy in the last 4 editions of the 6 days. It's been a great pleasure for me, as it has been for the whole team. I'd like to thank everyone involved, from the organisation to my teammates. Andrea has done a spectacular job. Matteo has been brilliant. Thomas has pushed right to the finish. We're so pleased to bring such a big victory home. Drati, Verona and Carvalho have all been junior trophy winners, but it's a first FIM gold for Davide Guarneri as Italy triumph on home ground. They will aim to defend that title at the 96th edition, scheduled for Puy-en-Velay, France for 2022.